Welcome to Getting Home Sourced with G. Your one-stop shop for all things real estate. Gianno is your go-to guy with over 25 years of experience in the game, serving up the insider scoop on buying, selling, and investing in two of the hottest markets, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Cabo, Mexico. Whether you're looking to score the perfect home, seal the deal on a sale, or dive into the world of international investments, G's got the tips, tricks, and swagger to make it happen. Remember, in Nevada, the smart choice is the right choice. And when it comes to Cabo, you better go oceanside with Cabo G. If you were looking for a quiet, tranquil show about real estate, this ain't it. Gianno has this thing called passion. Let's unleash the beast. This is Welcome to Getting Home Sourced. And now your host, Gianno.
Hey, what do you say? We got another rockin' show here on Getting Home Sourced with G, as this is our mailbag edition, folks. Yes, again, we have a lot of people asking questions, and I'm taking the domestic ones this time, folks, because, again, last time we addressed the international questions, but this time we're going to be dealing with domestic, as I've been getting a high demand of just people reaching out, and thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. But, of course, as always, I like to start out by saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our folks listening all throughout the world. Of course, my repeat offenders, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know I appreciate you, and thank you so much for the support and telling other people about my show, as we also have some newbies that have joined us this past week. So thank you so much for my newcomers. Really appreciate you. It really means the world to me, as I know that I'm doing something right to helping people listen to the show, get entertained, but more importantly, get informed. That's what it's all about. But, of course, as I always tell people, please reach out to me. You got my newsletter waiting for you. I need you to get onto my website so I can send it out to you, because the only way I can get it out to you is when you get onto my website. Please give me a valid email, valid telephone number. Let's get you going. Let's get it out there. And, of course, you can always contact me on my toll-free number, the toll-free G, 888-528-2810. And, of course, for my domestic friends, just type in 702, and the number is the same. Easy peasy. But, of course, again, the website is the key. I want you to get on there. I want you to sign up. And, of course, for my international listeners, as I had stated last week and I'm stating this week, feel free to join up for my international rewards program. Let's get your people involved. You know, people that are looking to come into the U.S., the Vegas market, or into Mexico and the Cabo San Lucas market. Let's get you on there. Please send me the people that you think are possibly looking to purchase, or maybe they're looking to sell, and you know that they're already here in Cabo and they want to sell. But like I said, either way, it's a great opportunity for you, so I would really appreciate that. So again, on that note, thank you so much. And, of course, for my mailbag edition over here, we got a lot of great questions. So I'm going to try to see if I can get to all of them, because a lot of people are really, I'm really impressed. You guys are really on top of your game. You're listening to what I'm saying. You're paying attention. You're doing your homework, and you're coming out here and you're asking questions that make sense. So we're just going to jump right in and basically knock it out. So without further ado, my first question is coming from Elisa C. from Washington, D.C., and she writes, I love your show so much. Thank you for making my morning rides to work enjoyable and entertaining. I really appreciate you. My question, what is the difference between a deed and a title? And I know that's a great question. Now, again, a deed and a title is important for people to understand, so we're going to give you guys a definition. And this is, again, going for the U.S. So this is for U.S. deed answer and title answer. So a deed is a legal document that officially transfers ownership between the parties and is a physical document that must be signed by both the buyer and the seller, or the grantor, which is the seller. Then this is filled out with and recorded with local county recorder, and then after closing becomes legal ownership. That's a deed. And title is the legal way of saying that you have ownership of a property, and it's not a document, but a legal concept or legal status of ownership. So again, I hope this answers your question on what the difference is between title and deed, because I think a lot of people get confused with that, and it's important to really understand because that can become really tricky. So thank you so much, Elisa, for that question. Now, my second question comes from Tiffany R. from Medford, Oregon. And Tiffany writes in, I love your show, very informative and very entertaining. So I got two informatives and entertaining, so I like that already. We're consistent. So the question I have is, investors are asking me if I want to sell and assume my loan. What's that all about? Well, that's a great question because now we're covering assumable loans. And this, folks, is really a tricky situation because assumable loan is really when a seller has an existing mortgage. So let's say the mortgage rate they got it at was at 3 or 4%, something super, super low. And the buyer wants to buy your property, but they also want to assume your loan at the rate that you have it at, because that, as an assumable loan, can be transferred. So at the end of the day, you're buying the property and picking up the rate that the seller already has existing on the property. The problem with this is that the seller is still on the hook if the buyer somehow defaults on the loan, and then it becomes a sticky situation, because I always advise my sellers that if you have an assumable loan, that does not convey, let it be clean. I understand that the rates are high right now and people are looking for ways to get in, but it will hurt the seller credit score if the buyer is assuming your loan, and if they don't pay it, it falls back on the seller, the original note holder, which is the seller, and that's a no-no. So again, folks, you don't want to get involved in that stuff. I know a lot of people are trying to push that out there and saying, oh, you can sell your house, it's no problem, they're going to cover the note for you. You know what, folks, things happen in life, and right now there's a lot of things that are happening in the world, and I just don't think it's a safe idea for sellers to give their loan to assume to somebody that you don't know. That can lead to a lot of situations that you really would be litigious, and it could get ugly. And here's the sad thing about the seller. If the seller assumes the loan, you're not even in the house anymore. Now that buyer not only defaults on your loan, but also is in your property, and you're not going to get it back because you already sold it. It's transferred out. So again, the seller's in a bad situation, and you put yourself at risk, sellers, when you do that. So please do not do that. That is a no-no, and at least in my opinion anyway. So thank you, Tiffany, for the question. I really appreciate that, and I hope that helps you out. Now, my next question is from Tommy G from Jersey. Hey, Tommy G, what exit you from, Bubba? Talk to me. So he goes, love the show and would like to say thank you, as I really appreciate all the information that you've given over the last couple of shows that I've listened to. So my question is that I want to get in touch with you. Should I call the 888 number, or do I email you, or how does that work? Can you please help me out? Well, listen, Tommy, thank you so much. That's an important question because, as I mentioned in my show from before last week and weeks before, what's happening is that you can do both. You can email me, you can call me on the 888 number, because my assistant, Miss G, will give you the information that you need if you're interested in purchasing property in the Las Vegas market where I work, or also in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So either way, you're covered if you can't get a hold of me and you need answers right away. However, most people that are going on to the 888 and talking to Ms. G, they're not following through. They're not giving their information properly, because I know there's a lot of traffic on the site where people are calling up my toll-free G number. But please, folks, make sure you follow the process. Go through, leave me your contact information if you want to get a hold of me, or at least I can get a hold of you, because once I know the questions that you're answering from Ms. G, and also I can also enhance that and give you more better information. So that's why it's always nice to have that. And of course, it'd be nice to have your information, because if you've got to put your information for my newsletter signups, that's okay. I can also take your information and do that for you. So it actually works both ways. But If you want to email me, of course, you email me. And of course, if you want to call me, that's the best way to go as well. So, but either way, if you're looking for a direct answer and I can't get a hold of you, because obviously everybody's hours are different, right? So feel free to just call up the 888 number, 528-2810. You'll get Miss G. She'll walk you through the process. And if you need any more information on top of that, please leave your information. I will get back to you. But if that satisfies you and there's no need for you to follow through, I would still encourage you to follow through, because I like to get to know you, like to know what your thought patterns are, what's going through your head. Let's work it out together, because that's the most important thing right now. And most of you that I'm noticing are going on, you're getting the information, at least I think you are, and you're happy about that, but we're not following through, because I really would like to get to know you. And that's where a few people are falling short. So most of you are doing great. You're coming through. You're sending me your contact information. I love it. We're responding. We're coordinating. We're putting a game plan together for both Vegas and Cabo. But again, Tommy, it's up to you. However you feel comfortable, I'm all for it. As long as we're talking to each other, that's the most important thing. So thank you so much for that question. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and I'm going to come back with some more question and answer sessions. Stay tuned.
Are you thinking about investing in Mexico? Not sure how to get started? Well, with Cabo G, he has all the steps in place to get you that vacation property you have been always dreaming about. Call Cabo G today on his new international toll-free number, 888-528-2810. Yes, toll-free. What other realtor do you know that has a toll-free number to call him anywhere in the world? Let your journey to real estate ownership in Mexico start now by going oceanside with Cabo G.
Hey, what do you say? What do you say? We got the mailbag edition here of Getting Home Source with G. As I'm your host, Gianno. And of course, like I said, I really love the fact that I'm really overwhelmed and excited that a lot of people are writing in. They're very, very concerned. And more importantly, you're on top of your game because you're asking the right questions. And that's the reason why I like to pick the right questions. So because I think it resonates with everybody on air, because I think a lot of you are basically speaking the same language. And with these questions that I went through, I think it touches a really strong, footprint on what the show's all about and what real estate's all about here domestically. So for my international friends, of course, this pertains to you too, because you get to understand the process of what goes on over here. But of course, I have to address the domestic questions this time around because the internationals got their fair share. So it's only fair that I shake it up, right? But you're still staying tuned. You're still listening. You're still getting informed. And that's what it's all about. That's why I call it Getting Home Source. We are sourcing people with the information that they desire, right? So now, my next question comes from Alexandria L. from Las Vegas. Hey, that's my neck of the woods. Writes in, your show is hilarious and yet informative, which draws me into you. Thank you so much for making real estate enjoyable to listen to. My question, I keep hearing about mortgage rates, rate cuts, don't buy, wait for the market, it's going to crash. What say you? Well, Alexandria, that's a great question because that's an ongoing debate right now that we've been covering in the last couple of shows. And I like to say, yes, I really truly believe that talking about rates is very important with buyers that are my clients that are moving forward, even customers. If you have questions, of course, I always say, reach out to me and I can help guide you the best that I can to let you know what's going on. But no, the market's not going to crash, folks. I mean, people keep seeing that. They keep hearing it. They think that between tariffs that are going on and everything going up, and they think the sky's going to fall. And that's why they have all these people circling the wagons and they're getting nervous and they don't want to step into the water and purchase. I get it, because a $500,000 home might cost you $4,000 a month US dollars to purchase when you're putting little money down and whatever the interest rate is, which is really hovering at that 7% mark. Now, we talked about last week that the rate, I personally believe, once they start doing the Fed cuts, that's going to probably bring the mortgage rate down. which again, we're forecasting to get to that like 5.5%, 6% range. It's coming, but we have to wait a little bit on it, right? But the main thing right now is that no, first of all, the market's not going to crash. I think rate cuts are going to be coming both on the Fed level and on the mortgage level. That's what they're forecasting. Now, normally, as I talked about before, you see a lot of realtors out there saying, hey, the Fed just cut their rates a 0.5 point. That means the mortgage is going to get cut a 0.5 point. No, that's not really how it works, folks. Usually, like I always say, it's important to know that when the Feds cut their rate, most of the times mortgage rates will go up. Now, we're not saying a lot. Could be 0.25%, what have you, for 0.5%, but nothing ridiculous. But nonetheless, it goes up. But in this instance, because of what's going on right now with the economy the way it is, again, as taping of this show, doing the numbers again, we're still over 9,900 homes here in the Vegas market. And right now, again, we're shifting over into that buyer market where you have a lot of sellers putting inventory out. And you're going to have to be competitive because now it becomes a competitive market for sellers as to why should a buyer buy your home. So when you have a buyer coming in, they will be asking for closing costs. They're going to be asking for helping for buying down the rate. They're also going to be helping to, hey, you got repairs that need to be done. Please contribute to the repairs if it's necessary. And then, of course, it becomes price with the appraisal. So those are the four things that are happening right now, that where you're in that negotiation market stage where it's like, I know the sellers want to try to grab as much money as possible. I get it, because now you have a lot of equity and you're kind of like, hey, if I sell my house, where am I going to go next? Am I downsizing? Am I doing a lateral move? Am I going to upscale? It all depends upon what your financial status is, right? But for a buyer right now that's just about to get their monies together, they're able to kind of see what's happening. They're trying to hit a certain price point and stay below it, so they have buffer. Sellers, it's really, really, really important right now. Please consult with me if you're thinking about selling, or if you're already on the process and you're working with somebody else and you're having some issues and you just can't see why your property's sitting for 4 months. Like I say, the reason why is because you probably have it overpriced, or you're not doing any type of concessions, which we call seller concessions or seller incentives. And that's kind of what's really canceling out deals. Buyers can't move forward, and now they have to cancel out, and you have a lot of cancellations. Because I will say, in the Vegas market since April, we've been on a downward trend, 5% each month downward, as things are slowing down because people are trying to figure out life. And a lot of times the reason why that number's dropping is because we have a high cancellation rate of people not following through. They're not working together, and things fall apart. So please, if in the Vegas market and you're struggling trying to sell your home, you got to give me a call. Or buyers, if you're thinking about buying here in the market, you're relocating, investment, or you're going to own or occupy it, reach out to me. I'm here. I can help you. 26 years in a business and going, folks. I mean, it's not by mistake. So I'm here for you. Remember that. It's always about you, the client, the consumer, the customer, right? The 3 C's. And that's what's important to me. So thank you so much, Alexandria, for that question. I hope that helps you out. And now we got Steve D from Vegas. Wow, another one. See, I got 2 Vegas people in the pocket. I like it. It's looking good. So Steve writes in, love the mailbag shows. I hope you read mine on the air. Question: where is the big, what is they saying over here? What is the big default rate right now? So is it in Vegas? Is it nationwide? How is it going? Is it really bad? Well, let me say this on a default rate. It's interesting that you say that, because right now the default rate, I had just gotten some data from a company here that just gave out to realtors nationwide 82,000 seller defaults for the month of June, which is absolutely outstanding. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's the numbers are so massive that this keeps growing and growing and growing. So what is that telling people? Why are sellers putting their properties on the market? Very simple. Because they may have some type of distress situation. It could be their mortgage they're not paying. It could be their credit score's taking a hit, their terms and agreements, or just their terms. It could be medical bills. It could be car payment. Anything that's hitting the credit score or financial crunch. And here's the most important thing. If you have defaults on your credit sellers, you cannot get a cash refi. They will not give it to you because you have a default. And if you're trying to get an FHA loan for a buyer and you have a default somewhere along the line, you're not going to get an FHA. You're going to have to go conventional. So, folks, with the seller default list, nationwide it's growing. You are seeing a buildup of potential short sales that are coming down the road and then eventually foreclosures. I hate to say that, but this is the truth because unfortunately people are living beyond their means. You leverage against your property. Sellers are pulling, cash out because they have the equity, but now they can't seem to pay it back and now they're stuck. And then at that stage of the game, they can't get the money out that they want. Now we got problems. So defaults are on the rise. And I will say, I had gotten a couple of lists that I saw from the company here. And I got to tell you, it's a scary process and it's a scary thought on the information that's going on. And you might seem that, people are happy on social media and life is great. But I'm going to tell you something. There's another side that's coming that's really ugly and sad. And again, folks, I can't emphasize this enough. If you are in a default situation or you're stressed and you have financial constraints, it's really, really, really important that you either talk to your accountant, you talk to your attorney, you talk to your financial planner. You have to seek out your professionals that are around you to help you make the best educated decision possible that's going to save either you or your family, both. So, because here's the good thing. You sell now, you get your equity. There are investors that will buy your property where you can rent back from them. So you don't have to feel like, I'm going to get booted out of my house. I'm going to get lowballed and I got nowhere to go. That's not the case. There are investors and buyers that will buy your property. And I personally work with a couple of them. So that's why I can say this, that you don't have to stress out. You will be safe. You just reach out to me and I will get you the information. But seriously, talk to your professionals around you. That's your financial team, accountant, attorney, and financial planner. These are the people that you have to seek out first. We don't need your name and information going out public where now you're going to have, default notices. And now you're going to have, 20,000 people reaching out to you looking to make a deal because you missed one mortgage payment. Because folks, it happens. I'm going to be honest with you. As a realtor, if you miss and you're a 30-day late, you get noticed, we get the information, and that's why people start hammering on you because you might have made it by mistake, and then people think that, they're not paying, we're going to get a hold of you, and that's bad. So, again, don't let that happen, but if you're in that situation, I get it, but now's the time that you have to start thinking about even talking to your bank and figuring out a situation where short sales could be in play, like I talked about with my other question, because you don't want to be in a foreclosure situation. You can't get bailed out. But remember, folks, if you're in a short sale situation, you're not going to get any equity. You're going to get nothing, right? Because that's the whole point. You're going into this situation where you're selling your house. You're shorting it for more than you paid for it. The bank takes over. You're just walking away. You get slapped on the wrist with your credit for a couple of years. You get it cleaned up and you come back in the mix. But I don't want to see that happen. So let's try to stay out in front of it. Don't worry about it. Like I said before, don't let your ego get in the way of trying to scrap for dollars and walking over it just to, get nickels and try to get by. It's not going to work. I'm telling you right now. If I see 82,000 leads that are coming in nationwide, what does that tell you? People are hurting all over the place. So don't you be one of those victims. So on that note, thank you so much. I really appreciate the question, Steve. I hope that answered it. And yes, you did get your question on the air. So I hope when you're listening to the show, this is you, folks, DVD and LV, right? So on that note, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope this treasure trove of questions and answers helped everybody out to get them to start thinking about things, especially on a domestic level. And don't worry, my international friends, I love you, but I hope this makes sense to you because maybe you're experiencing these things in the cities and countries that you're living in. If so, you reach out to your attorney, you reach out to your financial planner, reach out to your accountant, or if you have a realtor, You circle the wagons, figure life out, protect yourself, because your asset is the strongest thing that you can have, because that's your wealth gain. You don't want to blow it. You want to save it, especially your credit. Your credit's the most important as well for right now. So on that note, God bless. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Yes, you're a man of many talents.
You have just listened to Getting Home Sourced with your radio host, Gianno Buonaguro. This podcast is a registered trademark and may not be reproduced without the express written consent of VegasHomeSource.com. For additional information about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, call or text Gianno toll-free at 888-528-2810 or visit his website at VegasHomeSource.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.